fastest show in sports.
When you talk about this generation of fight fan, what does it say about us as a society when we look at the roaring popularity of MMA and UFC? From the 18 to 35 white male who seems to find it as a reason to live, and they get behind it, and it is the most important thing to them. But societally speaking, Wally, that has to say something about the lust for violence or the wanting to be like them in order to take this and say, yeah, this is something I got to see. I'll pay anything to see a good UFC fight.
Be like them, because if they really wanted to be like them, they would climb into the octagon and do it.
Right.
What they want to do is live vicariously.
It's vicarious, yes.
And I'm not going to play psychologist, but clearly there's some kind of a macho problem whereby the masculinity of the people in the ring validates your own because you're there rooting for him. And it's not only, it's a whole generation. It's the gun generation, it's the Confederate flag generation, it's just the overall hostility of people to one another generation. It's been legitimized, I think, by very important people in the United States. It's been told it's okay. Not only is it okay, but you should be this way. This is the way to get things done. Being civilized is not the way to get things done. And I think a lot of people relate to MMA because they see it as a symbol of that whole mindset.
Is it interesting because in boxing, it seems as if when we watched boxing, and an era did watch it, we didn't want to step in the ring and be them. We wanted to sit back.
Although I will tell you this. As a sports writer for 40 years, I have never heard somebody say, I could get in there and hit Mariano Rivera. I could get in there and sack Aaron Rodgers. I could score a goal on Shesterkin. But I have heard plenty of guys say, I get in there and fight Mike Tyson for $1 million. For some reason, dudes seem to think that, boxing is something anybody can do. And it's because, you had a street fight here and there. Do you remember when Dan Dierdorf became the boxing commentator for ABC?
Yes, I do.
About 30 years ago. All right. So they had a press conference, and I didn't think he was qualified at all. And I asked him, I said, what are your qualifications? What prepared you for this? What do you know about boxing? He goes, well, I had a lot of street fights. I said, well, but this is the mindset, I beat up that kid in the street. I could get in with Tyson. They don't realize how much better. They do respect how much better a major league pitcher is than they are. They realize how much stronger, a defensive lineman is than they are. They recognize that they cannot dunk over Michael Jordan, or Steph Curry. They can't, they realize they cannot skate with Sidney Crosby. But for some reason, people think they can fight with Mike Tyson. I've heard.
Is that not though what UFC and MMA is all about right now? You have that, and again, it comes down to that white male, 18 to 35, or even 18 to 45, if you will, who believes, I can do that. I've gotten a couple of street fights before. You want me? I can get in that octagon and do that. Bullshit! You can't do that. It's nonsense. 95% of the people in the world can't do that.
These guys that say, I'd fight Mike Tyson. I say, yeah, when the knock comes on the door and they say, let's go, you'd be changing your drawers because you're taking another shit. That way you would not be going out to the ring.
But is that it, Wally? Is it just that macho feel that it's got to be? I go back to
I think a lot of it's posing. I think that there's pressure on like disaffected white males in this country to be macho. I don't take any shit. Don't tread on me. Like, get the fuck out of here. I'll tread on you any fucking day of the week. But you have a lot of people out there who just feel like they have to put forth this front, and it's scary. I mean, that's why you hear talk about, I don't want to delve into politics. That's why you hear talk about civil war and, people with 50 and 100 and 200 guns in the house. I don't get the fascination with violence, but I guarantee you that a lot of the people who feel that way also are invested in MMA.
Can we not say that this began a long time ago? Because I still go back to George Carlin made a great bit one time where he talked about the whole philosophy of lead, follow, or get out of the way. I hear lead, follow, or get out of the way. Carlin said, when I hear lead, follow, or get out of the way, I obstruct. That was always his moment. But he's right. There is a
Can you
time in
imagine what he
America.
would be like today in the current climate?
Oh,
He would be unbelievable.
Carlin would be a master at this point. You'd
This
have to
world
have him.
needs George Carlin.
He'd, he'd imagine him going after Fox. That's another story altogether. But this whole lead follower, get out of the way bullshit nonsense, I think is what we're into now, and that's what the current generation is into. It's this whole I have to be this way. I have to be the
Right. Alpha
badass.
male.
Look,
Alpha male.
yes.
Right? Alpha male. Got to be the top dog. Everybody, it's just disgraceful. It really is, because it's not.
But I'll play
And
the
it's
other
how
side of the
we
coin here.
live in-
Let me play the other side of the coin here, though, because there's still people saying, well, wait a minute. You two old guys are sitting there right now and you used to love boxing. Boxing was two guys beating each other up. So we have it different nowadays. It's a different sport. MMA is our version of two guys beating each other up, and occasionally we like to see two women beating each other up. They'll go, what's, and I've had the generation say this to me, Wally, say, what's the difference? You guys did the exact same thing. We're just doing it a different way.
That's fine. That's fine. You know what? You're entitled to like what you like, but I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like. It's as simple as that, and I can tell you the reasons why. All right. To me, as I said, boxing is better to watch. It's more pleasant, even in violence. It's poetic. I mean,
Think
God,
about that. Pleasant.
show me the
You're
MMA
right.
guy. Show me the MMA guy that can rival Sugar Ray Robinson or Muhammad Ali for grace. Show me that. Please show me the MMA guy that could rival George Foreman or Ernie Shavers for punching power. Show me the MMA guy that could rival Joe Frazier or Larry Holmes for guts, for getting up again and again and again and winning after being knocked down. No, I got knocked down. I'm out. I'll come back next week. Show me anybody who is. Show me the MMA fight where a guy gets knocked down 3 or 4 times and comes back to win. Show me it. I'm sitting here.
Is it also fair to say that there's a segment of that population that likes to see women beating the crap out of each other? I mean, I'm telling you, I think there's a point in there, and I've read a lot of the sociological studies on this, and it talks about how women like to see it because they're beating each other up, and the guys like to see it too because there's two girls grappling and fighting each other.
Having followed the P. Diddy trial, I'm sure that you're absolutely right. But I'll tell you what, I covered quite a few women's boxing matches, and some women fighters are great, but I don't want it to sound male chauvinist, but I cannot stand to see women get beat up. I really can't. I covered a fight once where Christy Martin just beat the living hell out of this girl in Madison Square Garden. She would cut over both eyes. I just couldn't watch it. I could not watch it. And if it was two men, I'd be fine with it. It's like, it's part of the game. Okay. But I just could not see a woman get disfigured that way. And anybody who does like that, I think has some serious problems.
See, I think that's, and I agree with you on that, because I remember back in New England when I was working for CN8, Comcast, and the show Sports Pulse, and I was doing the blow-by-blow on boxing that we broadcast, and I got a couple of female fights, and I got a female fight between, we talked about this before the show, Missy Fiorentino and Jamie Clampett. And Jamie Clampett was an up-and-comer at that point. Missy Fiorentino was this little spark plug who was about 4'0", and she could take a punch and give a punch, and it was, by the second round, the blood was flying. My tux was marred with blood across it. I had blood hitting me in the face. And that's when I said to myself, I love boxing, but I can't do this anymore. This isn't boxing. Yeah. This is almost a disfigurement.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. Women's boxing is here to stay. I train boxers now. That's what I do for a living. Right, I do it at the YMCA here in Long Island, and I have a ton of women, and they really like it, and they are dedicated, they're strong, they're aggressive, and I encourage them to. They don't fight, they're not fighters, they just do it as a workout. But I mean, I think we have to understand that women want to be seen as equal in even in the boxing ring. And if you remember the night that the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fixed fight travesty, Amanda Serrano fought that night against what's her name, Katie from Ireland, and
I didn't see.
She got cut badly over her eye, but the women outfought, outgutted, out everything Tyson and Jake Paul that night, and I had so much pride for them. And I actually went to the fight with some of the women that I trained, and we all were so proud of how well these two women fought. But I will tell you, I'm a little squeamish about seeing them get beat up that way.
That's all, folks.